Hey there, Pam Coburn-Litvak here. In part 7 of my series on food and mood, let's talk about the care and feeding of the inflamed brain. What exactly is inflammation? Well, if you've ever gotten a cut or a splinter in your finger, you've probably noticed that your finger swells up, turns bright red, and feels tender to the touch. Your finger gets red and swollen because more blood is flowing to the site of injury, and it's carrying with it a microscopic army of disease-fighting agents called immune cells to attack any germs trying to invade the body through that injury. It may not look great or feel very comfortable, but inflammation means that the immune system is doing its job, which is to protect the body against infection and disease. The inflammation response is triggered when immune cells release chemicals called cytokines. But when these chemical signals run amok, they can cause inflammation to flare up in the wrong places at the wrong time. Inflamed and tender joints can lead to arthritis. Inflamed blood vessels put us at risk for cardiovascular disease, heart attack, and stroke. Inflamed airways in the lungs can block airflow, decreasing our ability to get life-supporting oxygen. Inflammation can also trigger another problem called oxidative stress. This is when the body can't get rid of these nasty little critters called free radicals fast enough. So they start hanging out in places they don't belong, beating up on our body cells, damaging our DNA, and causing general mayhem. Inflammation and oxidative stress have been tied to a lot of different diseases: diabetes, heart disease and disease in the arteries, high blood pressure, neurological diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and cancer. Sometimes we develop inflammation and oxidative stress in the brain. And to add insult to injury, free radicals also interfere with the production of important brain chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Inflammation and pro-inflammatory cytokines can really mess with the brain circuits involved in motivation and emotional regulation. This means that an inflamed brain is often droopy, sad, and fearful. Inflammation is an important cause of mental disorders, like depression and anxiety, but it works both ways. Inflammation increases the risk of depression, but feeling stressed and depressed can release more cytokines and increase the risk of inflammation. This vicious cycle explains why those with other inflammatory disorders that affect their lungs or their heart, for example, often get depressed as well. And interestingly, one of the things that antidepressant drugs do is decrease cytokine levels. But what causes inflammation in the first place? A whole bunch of stuff, actually. Inflammation is a natural body function, but it can get amplified in the body when the cytokine signal for it also gets amplified. Sometimes this happens through circumstances beyond our control, like medical illness or exposure to disease-causing germs or toxins. But, and don't miss this point because it's important, we actually do have control over a lot of pro-inflammatory factors. These include smoking, too much stress, lack of exercise, lack of sleep, and lack of sun exposure. Poor diet is a culprit too. An inflammatory diet has lots of sugar, salt, refined carbohydrates like white bread and pasta, unhealthy fats, and red meats. These are all capable of increasing cytokine levels. This diet is also low in green leafy and yellow vegetables and healthy fats like olive oil. Research shows that the more of these inflammatory foods a population eats, the higher levels of inflammation they experience. But what does an anti-inflammatory diet look like? Research shows that it's filled with whole grains, beans and legumes, nuts, vegetables, fruits, healthy fats, moderate amounts of fish and poultry, and very little red meat. These foods are rich in fiber and phytochemicals with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Anti-inflammatory herbs and spices include cinnamon, cumin, ginger, oregano, rosemary, and turmeric. And here's some good news. Changing our diet can treat inflammation pretty quickly. Just 1 month of dietary changes, including slashing fat and sugar and increasing our fiber intake, can decrease inflammatory markers in the blood by almost 40%. Please like and share this content and take a few seconds right now to subscribe. Thanks so much!